Thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is going to be kind of a two-part meeting today. So the first half of the meeting is applicable to totally everybody. So I'm happy to announce that we're really just kind of refining and fine-tuning some stuff. And moving forward, we're going to be utilizing Google a lot in things that we're doing inside of the stores and how we're keeping up with things. So we kind of started to lay the foundation of it last week with the order forms for the Print Hub, and we had a lot of people asking a lot of questions. So a lot of questions primarily being, how do I sign up for a Google account? I have a upsstore.com email, not a Google email. How does that work? So we're going to take some time to kind of back up and not be so presumptuous, and then we're going to, kind of handle the details. And yes, this meeting is already being recorded, so it'll be up on YouTube within 30 minutes of me finishing the meeting. Without further ado, so a lot of what we're doing moving forward is going to use Google in our ecosystem. So the first thing that we're obviously going to have to do is either sign up or sign into our Google account. You do not have to have a Gmail email address to have a Google account. So we need to actually have our store email addresses sign up for or sign into their Google account. So the first thing that you're going to need to do is pretty straightforward. You're going to need to go to google.com and make sure that you're totally logged out of all of the accounts. So like if you have your personal Gmail up, or if the customer has their Gmail up, go ahead and sign out of all of that. You're going to do that by going to the top right corner and hitting the sign out button. See right there, pretty straightforward. You click on the little icon, and then there's a place for you to sign out. So easy peasy. And so once you've signed out, you're going to go ahead and press sign in right in that exact same place. The bubble goes away and you got a little sign in button. And so once you hit that sign in button, you're going to see a little prompt up here that says, or it's going to take you to a little page that gives you an option that's going to look something to the tune of this. A couple different sign in options of what you've done before. If you have never used your store 0615 at the upsstore.com on Google, it's obviously not going to be one of those options. So if you don't see your store's email address as an option up here, go ahead and select use another account down here at the bottom. And so here's where the fork in the road is. If you have a Google account already for your store, just go ahead and sign in. It's just going to ask you to sign in. Just type in your store email address and get started. If you do not have a Google account, just come down here and there's a little button that says more options. And then you hit create an account. Pretty straightforward. And if you so if you sign in, then you sign in, you're done, right? That's easy. If you're needing to sign up and create an account, this is where we got a lot of emails last week asking us that they were confused. So if you're creating a new account, all you need to do is there's a nice little button right here that says, I prefer to use my current email address. So you're just going to tap that button right there, and it's going to allow you to type in your store 0615 at upsstore.com. Any questions about this so far? Going once, going twice. Okay, I'm going to presume that made a lot of sense. I got a ton of emails and phone calls about that last week. So, oh, sorry, I'm not going backwards, Elena. So you're going to have to go and watch the recording. All about creating Google accounts. And so grab the slide deck that I sent out. It's going to catch you right up with where we're at. So once you've either signed up or signed into your Google account, the first thing that you're going to need to do is, if you're not using Chrome, download Chrome immediately. I think most of all of the stores are using Chrome, but it's very, Chrome's a lot more synergistic than the other platforms. So scrap whatever you're using, use Chrome. So once you've signed up your Google account or signed into your Google account, what you're going to need to do is there's a little three-prong in the top right corner of Google Chrome. So go up to that little button and then press settings right here. And so as soon as you do that, as soon as you go into settings, there's going to be a place for you to sign into Google right at the top of the settings. So go ahead and click on that button and then sign in. That way it's going to save your store specific settings on any Chrome browser that you have logged in. So the work that we're going to do today If you do it on your back office machine and then set up another back office machine or a print machine in your store, you can download Chrome and sign into it with a store email address, and it's going to have the exact same hyperlinks, the exact same websites remembered. It's super nifty. You'll definitely need to sign in. Okay, so that's like the super easy part of what we're going to do. Any questions about the super easy part? All right, moving on. Step 2, we've all signed up for a Google account, and then secondly, we have all signed in to our Chrome browser with the Gmail or the UPS Store Google account. This is going to be the next step. So one, we want to make sure that we set up some bookmarks. I don't know if you guys have ever used bookmarks before. We had a lot of questions about the idea of how to make a bookmark. So the first thing that I'm going to suggest that you guys bookmark is our print job ticket. Once you have the slide deck open, you're literally just going to be able to click right here, and it's going to open up the print job ticket for you in the Chrome browser. So as soon as you do that, you're going to bookmark that page as soon as you have it open by going to the little 3-dot button that we went to before, highlighting the bookmarks button, and then selecting bookmarks this page. If you're really OCD and you want to keep things super organized, you can also create folders for your bookmarks. You can do that in Bookmark Manager, which is right here, or you can literally highlight this area right here in Chrome and right-click on it, and it's going to pop up and give you the option to do a folder. Once again, a lot of questions and lots of confusion. I'm not seeing much in the chat, so I'm hoping that maybe I made the slide deck pretty straightforward. But if you need to see that in real life, if you want to create a folder, you can see it right here. It says Add Folder. So I'll just say Demo 1 across the bookmark bar. Boom. That's how you create a folder. Pretty straightforward. And then the print job ticket, as soon as you click on it and highlight it, all we're going to do is hit this 3-dot button, bookmark this page. And if you want to be really fancy, you can put it into that folder that we just created right there. And that's all you're going to have to do. Boom. So now, anytime you need to place an order with the Print Hub, you can literally just click on it right there. Super easy. Any questions? Going once? Going twice? Okay, we're going to keep moving. So the next thing that we had a lot of questions about, so I apologize, like based on the amount of emails, I clearly didn't make this super easy for you. We're going to make some desktop icons for the Print Hub job ticket, as well as the Print Hub job tracker. That way these things are really easy. If you got your slide deck up, just go ahead and click on either of these lines. These are hyperlinks. It's going to take you directly to the job tracker and the job ordering form. If you want to create a desktop icon, it's super easy. I apologize I made this more complicated, so I've got a new approach for you guys to do this. All you have to do is open Chrome up, go to that website. We were just to the print job ticket before. Just hit that triple dot button, more tools, and then right there, add to desktop. That's all you're going to have to do. It's going to create a cool little icon for you. So once again, if you want to see that live action, pretty straightforward. More tools, add to desktop, print job ticket, add. Now it's right there on the desktop. Boom. Super easy. Any questions? Questions? All right. Go Cohen. Super straightforward slide deck. All right. Please let me know, because I'm going to try to move fast, because I know that this is a longer meeting. So I'm going to be flying unless you guys put something in the chat asking me any questions. So if you have any questions at all, speak now or forever hold your peace. All of that was pretty straightforward stuff. I thought, creating some bookmarks, creating some hyperlinks, so that stuff is easy for you to find. Now we're starting to add a little bit of layer to this Google platform. So one thing that we're really happy to announce, we've been working on this for forever, it feels like. Probably, it's been going on as a back-end project for us for about a year, and we've had this, yes, it's still going to be available on YouTube right after the meeting's over. The one thing we're super excited about with using Google is we're going to start having employee checklists for all of our employees to do. We've been working on this for about a year. We've had it in beta for about 5 months now. So we've had a lot of time to iron out the kinks and really make sure that we're adding stuff that needs to be there and taking out stuff that doesn't need to be there. So worked with several stores on this as far as day-to-day practicality, and we got it super easy on how to use these checklists. So without further ado, and all of these things that are on the checklist are things that you guys actually recommended. We had a Slack forum almost a year ago asking what y'all would like to see in a perfect checklist. So 90% of everything that we got in here just came directly from some feedback on the store level. So thank you guys so much for that. So there's one thing that I've noticed is that every store has like a million little things that need to be done. And it's just like really impossible to remember what those little things are, much less in a perfect world, we remember what all of those little things are. And there's just not enough time in the day for you, the manager, to do them. So what we've done is we've kind of identified that issue, and we're going to really have this as really a unique way for you guys to be able to delegate more effectively to the associate level things that need to get done. So these are now every store is going to be required to do these daily checklists that are going to be online, and it's going to help you keep up with those millions of everyday little minutia tasks. There's going to be 3 different types of checklists that have to be filled out every day. There's going to be a checklist for the opener, there's going to be a checklist for the closer, there's going to be a checklist for the manager. Each of these checklists are covering totally different stuff, and each one of them has a daily, a weekly, and a monthly section, so that on appropriate days when things need to be done, it's asking that appropriate person to do them. In some instances, when a store isn't super heavily staffed or doesn't have a lot of people because maybe it's a slower store or whatever reason, the manager may in fact be the opener or the closer, which means that that manager will be checking 2 checklists and not just 1 checklist. So that's okay. It's not a big deal. You can still delegate some of that stuff. So, and the one thing that I'll really encourage you guys to is, I mean, I'm not ever going to be sitting in the store, behind somebody with an iron prod, but I mean, this tool is totally just to make you guys' life super easy. So the easiest way we found to do this is just do this checklist on your phone. If you don't have the Chrome app on your phone, then just download the Chrome app, and once again, you can sign into Chrome with the store's the store's Chrome login, and it'll automatically remember all of the websites the store goes to, Grimco, LexJet, all that kind of stuff, and you'll have the checklist right as your right at the top of your bookmarks. Or if you want to use your own Chrome, then just access the checklist from there. You can just go to drive.google or whatever way you like to do it and access the checklist from your phone. We have, in the stores that we have tested that out, they're either doing the checklist directly on their phone, which is kind of the way that I recommend doing it, or they have it up on the back office machine and they're checking them as they're doing them throughout the day. How do we get these set up? As soon as the manager meeting is over, probably within about an hour or 2, but definitely by end of day today, your store is going to receive 3 emails that'll say that they're from cohenwills.com, and they're going to say that I'm sharing a file with you, an opening checklist, closing checklist, and a manager checklist. So when you get those, just click on the link. It's going to take you to the checklist, and create a folder in your bookmarks tab that says daily checklist, and save each checklist as a bookmark. That way they're super easy to find. Just in case you guys aren't sold on the idea of how to make these these bookmarks, I'll drive it in one more time. So Cohen sent you the email, says you've been shared the closing checklist. What you'll do is you'll get access to the closing checklist right here. We'll go to the actual front end by clicking this button, and I'm going to walk you guys through this a little bit later. But you're just going to hit right click, bookmark this page, closing checklist. I created the daily checklist folder right there. Boom. Now whenever your associate comes in, all they have to do is hit daily checklist and open up their appropriate checklist. They click it right there. Boom, it's going to take you right here to this website. Super easy. Easy, easy, easy. I don't see any questions in there, so I assume there's not going to be any questions. So we'll create bookmarks for each one of these 3 checklists that need to be done every day. And most important, I can't emphasize this enough. Like I said, I'm not going to be sitting there like screaming and yelling at people, but this is a required daily job, which means that it is a manager's job to make sure that your associates are filling these things out. What you're going to find is that if you're using these checklists more of the minor stuff is getting done, so you're not having to have these crazy follow-up or these crazy Friday or Saturdays. We're trying to do a million things. Your store's going to get a lot less cluttered, and your life's going to be a lot easier for it. So now, without further ado, I love Family Guy whenever I was younger, so it made me think of this whenever I was thinking about telling you guys that these checklists are required. Never seen it, probably doesn't make any sense to you, so moving on. I wanted to go ahead and walk you guys through kind of what this is going to look like, because this is not a super labor intensive or a time intensive thing that's going to bog down your day at all. So does anybody have any preference of which one you want to walk through and actually see what it would be like on a daily basis? You can throw it in the chat. I don't see anything in like 5 seconds. I'm just going to pick one. All right, Matt gets first place. Opening. Tristan, you were so close. So close. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is walk through the front end of this. So whenever you're creating a hyperlink, definitely just hyperlink the front end of the checklist, which is going to be this part right here. So your openers just came into the store. It's probably 7:45. If you open up at 8, they got here 15 minutes early because they're a proactive employee. Just going to start with today's date. It's going to pre-highlight this in for you, saying that today's the 15th. So we're going to go ahead and type that in. We'll do this for Matt's store. Since he's the one that chimed in there, and we'll say Matt open, because Matt does open. So we'll type in Matt. All right, so the first thing he's going to be prompted with is, okay, here's some things that you should be doing before you're opening. Turning on the lights, turning on the back office machine, making sure that we launch all of these applications on the point of sale, because it takes forever for some of these to load up, especially on our older point of sale. Here's a big one that a lot of people are not doing. Verify that there's $200 in those drawers whenever you're opening them in the morning. You don't want to be in a situation, which we've had in the past, where you think you open up with $2 and you're having to explain to your manager or explain to me or your area manager why you said there's $200 in the opening drawer when in fact there's not. Your opener should be filling out a change order for your manager, or this is a good time to fill out a change order for yourself if you are the manager. That way, whenever you as the manager come in later, if that's applicable, this change order has already been filled out. You guys who don't open, just imagine how great that would be in your life if as soon as you walked in the door, your associate came up and said, hey, I noticed that we needed some nickels, dimes, and quarters. So here's exactly what we need to get to a perfect fill. That would not be bad. Go ahead and turn on all the copiers and the PCs, because these things take forever. If you've got an A-frame in your store, go ahead and take it out. You should be refilling the retail wall. So you should be fully stocked with peanuts, bubble wraps, bubble mailers, regular manila mailers. Before we're open is the time to be filling those things up. Check your emails for customer responses and package exceptions. This is a very important step. Make sure we know what the day is going to have for us before the day gets started. Turn the air or heat on as applicable. Go ahead and vacuum the store so that it looks perfect before opening. Open the door and turn on the open sign, because it is 8 o'clock. And we timed all of this out. It should be easy. If it's not being done before open, it should be able to be done right in the first 5 or 10 minutes. None of that super long stuff. Sometime the opening employee at some point in the day should be doing the following items. So don't have to be done before opening, but needs to be done each day by this employee. Receive faxes, put those into fax folders. If you're asking what is the fax folder, you should probably look into that, because it will help you a lot. Fill copiers with the copy paper, I should say the correct copy paper, and refill the peanut hopper. We're going to have to update that now that we can't have peanut hoppers in the future. So that does show you that this has been a work in progress. Go ahead and fill out the stamp log for the morning. Restock all of your doc boxes, bubble mailers, and UPS, USPS supplies. Run those notices on Mailbox Manager and actually put them into the box. That way we're keeping those things current. Launch package management on both bills, and go ahead and return UPM packages that it's telling you to return. If you don't have those things sitting in the back, we get paid every single time we hit return package. So go ahead and press that button for sure. Now we're moving to that week specific section. So we're no longer required to check all the boxes that move on. We're only going to check the day. So today's Thursday. So today's the day that we're going to clean the customer supply holders and refill them. We're going to stock our office supplies. We're going to dust the shelves on the retail unit. We're going to refill bags of peanuts and rolls of plastic air cushioning on the pack table. We're going to stock and price shipping supplies and padded photo mailers and wipe down all the counters. Notice a lot of this stuff is things that don't need to be done all day, so that's why we're moving them around. Organize the back room does not need to be done every day. Cleaning windows does not need to be done every day, but do they need to be done once to twice a week? For sure, absolutely. So I think that this should be very helpful by breaking all of those random things down into day-specific activities. So once you get through this, you're done. This is all the checklist has to do for the day. As soon as you, the associate, hits checklist, it's going to say your response has been recorded. And so now you, as the manager, are actually going to be able to see, hey, my opener did in fact fill out the checklist, and they're saying that they did all of these things. And once every blue moon, it's probably nice to follow behind that person and say, hey, did they actually do this? So not only are you going to be able to see that they responded, but it's going to keep a log of all of the different times that they actually did respond to this. So what that's going to do is not only are you going to be able to see this back end with the responses, but your area managers and myself are also going to be able to see this to make sure that these things are being done. And every so often, we're actually going to be circling behind with you guys, check and make sure, okay, the checklists were done, were these things actually being done? And it's just going to help a ton as far as cleanliness and presentation of the store and just dealing with those minor things. I would recommend if you're the manager and you're opening and you've got an associate coming in at 10 o'clock, maybe start tasking them with a lot of these tasks. You're going to be the one responsible for it because you're opening, but have them do them whenever they come in, and then just validate that they were done by filling out the checklist. The manager one is obviously got a lot more meat, so we're going to high level walk through this one real quick as well, because this is the one that you guys that should actually be the tool that's really making your day-to-day a lot smoother, because there's a ton of stuff that you have to do as a manager, and sorting through that kind of stuff is really huge. This is Kennedy's checklist, so I'm actually going to go ahead and fill this out for Randy. I'll check in with him later, make sure he does this. This one's just broken into raw daily, weekly, monthly things that the manager needs to do. You can disagree with me and you will be wrong, but here's the stuff that I've decided absolutely a manager has to do every single day, or they're just not doing their job in the best way that they can do it. One, the first thing you should be doing is checking Quantum View Manage on UPS.com for exceptions. As soon as you go through there, just go click through the exceptions really quick, see what things are going to ARI with packages, and you can go ahead and get out in front of GSRs that need to be filed, and you can get out in front of claims that need to be filed. So it helps a ton when the customer's calling you angry and you actually answer the phone and know exactly what's going on with their package. And Quantum View Manage affords you the technology and the ability to do that with just seconds of your day. So that's my sales pitch for Quantum View Manage. Got to do that every day. Second thing you should be doing, read all the store emails for the last 24 hours and go ahead and set up your projects for the day and start delegating those projects as seen fit. But definitely read all the store emails and respond back to the ones that you've gotten since the store closed the last day. There is no reason in the world ever that every email should not be responded to in less than 24 hours. Emails should be responded to in like less than 1 hour, but absolutely never more than 24 hours. So this is the moment where you're combing back through and making sure you didn't miss an email. So next step, print the UPS store communications. If one was sent out that day, typically they get sent out about 3 times a week, and then read the information in CMS in the bottom left corner telling you where UPS is having a hard time delivering to. Everyone needs to be fully conscientious 24/7 of what the UPS store communication says and what's going on in CMS. Where are we having shipping delays to, and what's going on in the UPS store network. The best way to do this is to have your associate print these out, have your associate initial saying that they read it and they understood. Easy peasy. I know that this isn't happening because a lot of times I like to walk in and I say, hey, what's going on in CMS, or what did the UPS store communication say? And I almost always get a, I don't know, response. And it's just not great for keeping yourself informed. So keep in the know. And then lastly, every single day, you should be checking When I Work budget tool to see where you're at on your labor analysis. Are we looking like we're going to be above our budgeted hours that we budgeted for ourselves, or are we looking like we're going to be below? And if we're looking like we're going to be above the budgeted hours we've created for ourselves, let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to send people home or adjust the schedule as the week goes on so that we're always ending up with less hours than we budgeted. With a proactive mentality, we will always end up with less hours than we budgeted. With a reactive mentality, we will almost always be over what we budgeted because hourly employees like to work hours in the store. So once we finish this daily section, we're now moving to a section of only week-specific stuff. Ooh, my chat wasn't scrolling, so got time to lean, you got time to clean. My first boss's famous words. Michael was working at that job too, so we go back. Weekly tasks. All right, here's what we need to be doing once a week. So we'll just go ahead and there's a lot of different stuff on here, but let's just go ahead and pick today's. So that we kind of see what the day and today is going to be. We're going to, we don't need to follow up on claims every single day of the week, but we absolutely do need to be following up on the claims at least twice a week. So pull up all of the open claims, go through the paperwork, figure out what's going on. If nothing's going on, then pick up the phone and communicate with either the customer or with UPS Preferred. If I can assure you the customer will only appreciate if they hear from you twice a week with the status of their claim. I can assure you that UPS Preferred needs to be talked to at least 2 times a week to get a claim moving through at an appropriate speed. So help expedite this by over-communicating, doing that twice a week. Ensure that GSR customers have been communicated to via email. Big complaint, probably the second biggest complaint other than slow claim response time we get in the UPS stores is nobody communicated to me about the status of my GSR. So over-communicate on those. If the GSR gets denied, shoot them an email letting them know that the GSR got denied why. If it got approved, then send them an email letting them know that it's been approved. So make sure that you're communicating that when you file them as well as whenever you do this. There is not an app, I believe, but you can just download the Chrome browser and then make these bookmarks. So that's how I do it in the store. That's how I recommend doing it because it's super easy. All you have to do is create a bookmark, which I showed you guys 30 times today in the meetings. I know you guys don't want to see it again. And that you can just use this on your phone and just check these with your thumb. So easy. Ensure GSR customers have been communicated to via email. Okay, we knocked that one down. Make sure that your associate is filling out the checklist and that it's being completed. Check the stamp log and the notary log to ensure that it's actually being done and completed. Most importantly, your associates are your biggest teammates. They really want to see your store succeed, but they're not going to know to keep pushing and giving that extra effort if we don't communicate to them. So we need to communicate twice a week with our associates. Hey, let them know where we're at. How are we doing on our pack to ship ratios by each associate? How is our air to ground ratios doing? How are we doing as far as our sales versus our expectations? We're sending all of that information out to you guys twice a week, not so that you can just see the information, but so that you can utilize that as a tool and use it to empower your associates. If you don't have any great ways on how to communicate this, reach out to me, Michael, Kennedy Store. Jimmy has an awesome method for it. Ashton, I believe, also has a good method for it. Almost all of us utilize some sort of board where we're actually writing all of the associates' pack to ship ratios, air to ground ratios, and the store sales and print sales on a board. And we're just encouraging people to be data knowledgeable. So I could talk about that all day, but we are time punched, so I'm going to keep moving on. But there are weekly tasks. I recommend going through and you're going to know how to do all of them. Just go through and do them, whatever it tells you to do. And then at the end of the month, we all know that there's a bajillion things you got to do at the end of the month. Here's all of those things that you need to do at the end of the month. And guess what? On the other 25, 26 business days that we have, you get to just get this section and press submit. And like I said, you're done. This is not meant to be a super long task. These are all things that you should be doing anyways, and you could literally go through, do the whole process in less than 30 minutes to an hour. The process of filling out the checklist is going to take somewhere between 2 to 2.5 minutes. Not a timely problem. And then once again, just like with the associate one, you're going to be able to see those responses. And if you want to get the individual specific information, which I don't know that you're really going to want that a lot. You can access it via the individual tabs. So as in your stores, you're going to be able to see all of these checklists in your Google Drive. If this is like Spanish to you, I apologize. But you're going to be able to go to it in mine. We'll open up Kennedy's again. It's going to look like this basically in your Google Drive. You're going to have these 3 files shared with you. So you as the manager, whenever you go to open them, you're just going to double click on them and it's going to take you to the front end. So you as a manager, if you say, hey, I really want my associates to be doing more than what I'm asking you to ask your associates to do, then that's great, by all means. I made this editable so that you guys could actually go in here and add little checklists. If you want to add some stuff on here, great. Highlight one of these, add an extra little line item. If you don't want to add that, you can hit it delete. I recommend just making all of these little check boxes. So the way that you add a section is you hit add a question, and then you select what kind you want. Like I said, I recommend check boxes. Don't have people writing stuff in too much if you don't have to. That's how you do that if you want to edit it. And then lastly, when you want to actually go to the front end of the checklist, or the one that your associates are going to actually be doing, hit that little button, the little eyeball, and it's going to take you to the front, and you'll notice a different link. So you're going to need to create a bookmark for this front end. Any questions at all about checklists, how this is going to work? To wind you guys back to the practical side of this, I'm going to send out in 3 emails. It's going to say you've been shared an opening, manager, and closing checklist. You're going to open those. You're going to go to the front end view, and then we're going to bookmark this. And if you want to create a desktop desktop icon, then you now know how to do that based on this meeting. So questions, comments, or concerns regarding employee checklist? I'm going to go ahead and pause here for about a 10 to 15 seconds, because this is where we're going to, so that's everything that we're going to talk about today. Well, almost everything we're going to talk about today as it relates to Google. So no shame of asking questions. Ask them if you got them right now. All right, I'm receptive to questions on the topic for the next 30 to 45 seconds. But the last thing that we're going to be using Google for is, if you're not already using this, is just using Google Calendar. You guys are also going to get a share. You're going to say Cohen shared his calendar with you, because this is how I keep up with stuff on a daily basis. I've got a ridiculous calendar. As you can see over here, this is my actual calendar. I actually have about 12 different calendars going on. I've got my calendar, me and Becca's personal calendar, things we're doing together. I've got my work calendar, Becca's work calendar, a schedule for our manager mentors to use, and most importantly, a checklist for you guys to be, or a calendar for you guys to be using. So you're going to get a shared email, and then I recommend, this is going to tell you exactly when reports need to go into Dropbox, because that's the never-ending battle of us sending you guys emails saying you need to put the stuff in Dropbox, you doing it. We really want to get away from this idea of us having to go in and shoot you guys millions of emails telling you to upload stuff. So this calendar that you can access, which is by going to google.com/calendar or calendar.google.com, it's going to just pop up and it's going to tell you exactly what needs to be uploaded on what day. So by all means, be more proactive, but these things have to be done on these days. Elena said, you're talking about the ones we get in email or the ones that are in CMS we are printing out? I'm not. We're printing UPS communications. So the UPS store communications are the ones that you're going to be printing out. Those come via email from it's going to say from the UPS store communications. And it's just going to like have a high level of what's going on in the UPS store. Print that one out, and then make sure that people are acknowledging the top bottom left corner of CMS where packages are being delayed. Because there's nothing in the world that's going to make the customer more angry than if they come in and they ship an item next day and there was a big prompt on our screen telling us that it was not going to get there, or it probably wasn't going to be getting there. If it's going into a wishy-washy area, we need to just go ahead and communicate that to the customer on the front end so that they know. Have the associate sign on the UPS store communication tool, and then they should also, by signing there, they should be acknowledging that they know what the CMS date is. And most important, I mean, the best way they're going to get this is they're going to, if you quiz them. So just ask them every once in a while, hey, where are we not shipping to today? And once you've asked them a couple times and they don't know and they get embarrassed by it, they're going to start checking it whenever they come in. I know it's the first thing I check whenever I walk into a store and pull up CMS. So any other questions? This calendar thing's pretty straightforward. It's just another tool to help you guys make sure that you're getting your Dropbox stuff done timely. Because we're speak now or forever hold your peace, because we are totally changing topics. All right, I'll presume that was all straightforward. Once again, if you guys have any questions, one, we're going to be posting this as a video on YouTube in less than an hour, so you can always rewatch this. And number two, I literally already emailed you guys this entire slide deck that I just went through. I think the slide deck is pretty straightforward. I tried to make it very user-friendly, so you can always go back through the slide deck on how to do any of this stuff. All of the Google stuff needs to be done today. It needs to be done ASAP, really. I mean, I'd highly encourage you guys to be doing it while we're doing the meeting right now, so that by the time the meeting's over, everybody has their Google account set up. Because you're not going to be able to utilize the manager checklist I'm emailing out to you if you don't have the Google account created. So go ahead and work on that. You have the slide deck that's got all the links to it to go ahead and set up the bookmarks and the icons. I'm presuming that nobody has any questions because I gave you guys a little time with that little chit chat. So, all right, so we're moving on. Any of those, or anybody who's listening to the meeting that works for South Georgia Shipping Solutions, which would be the Thomasville store and the Tifton store, we would love for you guys to stay around for emotional and moral support, but the second half of this meeting really isn't going to be applicable to you. It's not going to affect your stores. The stuff that we're talking about is only rolling out to South Tampa Logistics and South Georgia Shipping, which is the two Valdosta stores. So feel free to leave if you would like. No need for you to stay on, but if you want to stay on just for your own edification, or if you're curious what's rolling out, then by all means, go ahead and let me go ahead and do whatever you want to do from this point moving forward. So I think that this is like super exciting news. We have been working, this announcement comes with the work of years of work. For those of you who have not been with us since day one or for a couple of years, David can certainly tell you, since he's been with us since day one, I mean, the way that we have been compensating managers has changed so many times. I mean, it's always at its core been some formulation of the same idea: a sales bonus and a profit-based bonus. Sales bonus being paid monthly, profit bonus being paid quarterly. And that's, we kind of, if you've been, however long you've been with us, you've seen variations on that. Last year we did the print stretch, or the print bonuses, it was $500 quarterly. Before that we did sales stretch bonuses, where it was a $500 bonus if you hit a crazy high sales bonus. And we've done freight bonuses, we've done mailbox bonuses, we've done print bonuses, we've done every kind of bonus and variation under the sun. Sometimes we felt like we kind of had something that was working. Most of the time we felt like we never had something that was really creating a financial benefit for both the store and the managers consistently. So we've constantly been asking ourselves over the last 2 to 3 years, how can we do this, do our manager compensation better in a way that works better for our managers? We got the business card one. Oh yeah, yeah. To add to the millions of ways that we've done incentives, we did the business card incentive. That's probably one of the better ones that we actually tried out, honestly. For certain stores, it didn't work at all. A lot of other stores, so it's kind of funny how that goes. Okay, so that was my previous disclaimer. This is only for South Tampa Logistics and South Georgia Shipping. So our previous plans, there were always some variation on this that you've seen: sales bonus, maybe some print target and print minimum. Yeah, the one that we're literally moving from right now is we had this idea in the fourth quarter, or it's pretty much all of last year. If there's going to be a target, and if you hit the print target, you're going to get a big bonus. If you don't hit the minimum, you're going to lose your profit-based bonus. And then there's also going to be a sales goal, and of course that profit-based bonus that might be in jeopardy if you didn't hit a print minimum. So issues only came up, of course, when they weren't being paid. But here's a list of things that we kind of consistently got back from managers of our, why they weren't in love with this plan. The print bonus, the profit bonuses, they kind of like, okay, it's going to be 3 months from now, and then before they even get paid out, it's going to take Cohen 45 days to actually get the financials, because he just sits around and doesn't do anything for 40 days and then pumps them out at the last second. Probably the opinion out there in the world. But it's going to take, 4.5 months to be able to get the profit-based bonus. It's not really going to affect the way that I act on a day-to-day basis. The print minimum. And here's the big consistent complaint we got from people. I snuck up on me, man. They really only started working on the idea of selling print in the last 10 days, when they realized that they had thousands of dollars that they need to grow their print, and there's only 10 days left in the month. And it's just, if you get in the last month of your print minimum under that old system, and you hadn't been working on print nonstop for the last 3 months, you're just not going to have the time to fix it and make this print minimum number work. And we saw that in the fourth quarter a ton. There was a lot of stores that were not eligible for fourth quarter bonuses because they did not hit their print minimum. And when I asked the store managers why they didn't hit the print minimum, because there's such a big financial detriment to not hitting the print minimum, every single one of them responded with the same thing. Hey, it just kind of snuck up on me. And that's just I hate that for you guys as the managers. I wish that the print had been embraced earlier, for sure, because it could have been, but I hate to hear that someone feels like it snuck up on them, because it should have been very intentional. And lastly, the complaint was the print targets. Those things were, they were big dollar payouts for sure, but consistently, same thing, seemed far away, like I got plenty of time to work on it, so I don't have to start working on it today. And then a lot of people, fourth quarter, I think 2 people got the print target. I think it was Kennedy and Parks. So shout out to you guys. Y'all did awesome. And y'all reprint a ton. So way to go, you guys. Everybody else didn't hit it. And the main response is why you didn't hit it. Same thing, snuck up on them. So we took all of this feedback and really recreated a new manager comp plan to address all of these issues and have one that really works for you and encourages you to make smart decisions every single day on a day-to-day basis. So with all of that being said, I'm going to start moving into the new compensation plan. So without further ado, this is all going to be effective March 1st. So you guys have about 15 days to really wrap your head around this new compensation plan, because we're going to be paying profit-based bonuses through February 28th, so January and February. We're going to pay sales goals at the $200 level through February 28th. So everything this month is going to be the same. But starting on March 1st, things are going to be very different. The heart of them is going to be the same. The execution of them is very different. So you have 15 days to really change the way that you're looking at how you're approaching your day-to-day basis in the store. So let's go ahead and do that. And once again, this is the place where the chat should be blowing up with questions moving forward. So if you have any question about how this is going to work, this is the time to do it, because I'm the dude who wrote the plan. So I know this thing up and down, and I'm dying to get questions from you guys to try and make this as clear as possible. 1,000 asterisks out of the way, let's go. So starting on March 1st, everything that you were getting compensated for in addition to your salary, just flush that down the toilet. It's going to be gone. The print target, the print minimum, if you were getting freight bonuses for whatever reason, any kind of bonus that was ever being thrown around, print growth bonus, anything we've ever done in the past, it's all gone on the manager level. And everybody's moving to this new singular manager plan. So the first high level change, all of these incentives that we're doing are paid monthly. So there's no more waiting 30 to 45 days or after the end of a quarter that was already 90 days to get paid a bonus. Every single one has been converted to some sort of target that can be gauged monthly, and it's going to be paid out in the next payroll cycle. So there's no analytics, no crunching numbers. It's all going to be paid quickly. It's going to be, if you're familiar with management at all, this is what we're doing is called a manager scorecard approach, which means that there's going to be 6 categories in which you're going to be judged on every month. And we're going to be checking the boxes saying, yes, you did it and you get a bonus, or no, you did not do it, you are not getting a bonus. So with that being said, there's a little sneak peek of what all of those items are on the right, but we're going to go into all of them in very deep detail starting right now. So the first thing that's a payable bonus on a monthly basis is the air to ground, or actually poorly worded there on my part. I apologize for the slide deck. It's going to be air to total domestic ratio. So the goal for each store is going to be right here. So it's going to be 12% for every store except for the Valdosta store. So the Valdosta stores have a 14% bonus. So the way that it's going to be calculated is it's going to be, I'm so sorry, I boxed that up. It's on my slides. It's going to be all of our domestic air transactions divided by all domestic shipments. So I apologize for the typo on the slide deck. It is going to be all domestic air shipments divided by all domestic shipments, which includes air and ground shipments. Going to show you how those things are calculated, or what different things are going to fall into that category. The main idea is that we're not going to be accounting for UPS Standard or Worldwide Express or Worldwide Express Saver. So we're tossing those out, and you're going to say how many airs did you ship divided by the total amount of packages that you were shipped. And what we've done is we've done a little bit of an analysis of what the average stores are doing in the market and what well-performing stores that are following the process are doing. So I'd be remiss if I didn't bring up the quote tool. There is one store that I'm not saying that every store, that stores aren't doing it, but there's one store that I know that there's somebody standing in the store with an ironclad whip, whipping it every day, making sure that people do the air to ground or the quote sheet, and that is 2470. Guess who is hitting a number that's solidly 2% above any of the, except Gandy. Gandy, you have a very respectable number. Way to go, Gandy. You get to set yourself to the side and wear the party hat. But everybody else is trailing way behind Summit. So I'm not going to say that absolutely. I didn't want to speak and say that you were definitely using the quote tool every time, but 6168 certainly has a high air to ground ratio. So there's what it shows us is, and these are consistent. 2470 is not incidentally up. 6168 is not incidentally up, and I can guarantee you from knowing Elena, 5509 is not incidentally up over the other stores. These are over executing on the model stores, and if you want to know how to increase your air to ground ratio, absolutely require every single transaction to use that quote tool, as we already require you to do. If you use the quote tool, you're going to have a number much higher than if you do not use the quote tool. Absolutely guaranteed all day. A UPS store that's using it converts up to air 20% more than it doesn't. That's a statistical fact. Tested by the UPS store, tested by me. I don't think you'll find anybody in disagreement that's used the quote tool. So basically the way I'd look at this is, if you just use the quote tool, you're going to get a $50 bonus on a monthly basis when you hit this target. So I don't know if that was on the previous slide deck, but this bonus is going to be for $50 each month. Any questions about this one? I do apologize for the typo in the slide deck. So if that was confusing at all, type those questions in the chat box now. We will be posting this number 2 times a week. All of these numbers that I'm talking about, we will be posting 2 times a week. So I encourage you to calculate them in the store every single day, month to date, so that you can always know exactly where you stand and what needs to be worked on better. The next bonus that we're going to have, a pack to ship ratio. I think everybody's super familiar with this, and nobody has to be surprised with how this is. I don't think this is going to strike anyone as confusing. We're going to take retail shipping supplies, packaging materials, packaging service fees, and office supplies. We're going to divide those by UPS, USPS, and DHL revenue, and that's going to give us what we call the pack to ship ratio. So You'll see all of you guys have different targets, which you can see over on the right side. The idea is that every store in Tampa and St. Petersburg is going to have a 17% goal. The Valdosta and Thomasville and Tifton store goals are going to be 19% for pack to ship. And the Brandon stores historically have trailed behind those other stores. So for the first 6 months, we're going to give them a little bit of opportunity to grow by setting their goal a little bit lower at 15%. And then after 6 months, we're going to hire them back up to 17%. So the one thing I'll tell you guys, whether it's the air to ground, a pack ship, or anything else we're talking about later today, the one thing our corporate group was very intentional about is saying that we did not want to set a goal that's higher or even the same of what we expect from ourselves in the stores. So before we set any of these numbers, we actually all went out into stores and really tested these out. And when I say we, that was myself, that was Jimmy Brule, and that was Michael Roby. All of us went out there, and I'll tell you, as it relates to things that were beaten over the head, no matter what store we were at, no matter what area we were at, we tested this across all different planes, and we all beat the snot out of this pack to ship ratio number that's being set as a target. My personal number, I think, was around 23%. I'm sure that Jimmy and Michael will humble brag in a minute on what theirs was. I mean, we were all solidly north of 20 for our pack to ship ratio. So speaking from the corporate team, I feel this is Jimmy said he'll remain humble. That's very kind. I do remember what Jimmy's number was, and I can assure you, we're not asking anything that's even the same of what we ask ourselves or what we expect out of ourselves. So these numbers are certainly lower than what we're expecting of ourselves, and for that reason, we know that they're really easily doable as long as you follow the process. Bring up what you're supposed to bring up, have the conversations that you're supposed to have, and you're going to put an extra $100 every single month into your pocket. Talk about an easy way for whatever that thing is that you like to do. You can go and do it every single month now, just by encouraging your associates to do their job correctly. So add an extra $100 to your pocket every month. Any questions about this at all? All right. So far, so straightforward, I guess. The third section that you guys will be judged on is labor as a percentage of sales. You guys are very familiar with how this works, right? We've been posting this in the past a lot on a weekly basis. We were posting it in the past because we knew that this is something that we were going to add into this platform when we rolled it out. So that's why we were kind of on the back end tinkering with it. That's why you saw those numbers in the past. Now you're actually going to be paid a bonus by scheduling labor to sales in a reasonable way. So the labor to sales ratio is going to be calculated as your total in-store labor cost before any bonuses divided by the total sales of this month and the prior year. All of that should make sense. We're not going to penalize your store because you're doing awesome on these things that we're paying bonuses on. So that's the first thing. And secondly, we're going to use the number of sales from this month and the prior year. That's why I send those numbers down until you put them in the budget tool every single month, a couple days before the end of the month, because you're going to need those numbers to make sure that you're budgeting below your goal. Now I will give the appropriate asterisk because this is what came up when we were testing this. So there are some stores that say my number of sales from last year is not fair because I'm freaking killing it this year. So if your store current month sales are over 20% above the prior year, we're going to recalculate the labor to sales ratio by taking the total in-store labor cost divided by the total sales in this year versus last year. Yeah, Jody's a great example of this, where you're saying, like, that's not fair for me to do last year. I'm up 40-something% in sales. Well, I'm going to say to you, I agree with you. Safe to say, if you're up 40% in sales, we're going to figure out a way to recalculate this. So that number we came up with is if you're about 20% over last year, Kennedy's a great example. Park's a good example. Brandon Boulevard several times was up north of these numbers. we're going to change the way that we're calculating this bonus. And once again, like this is, I referred in the manager meetings that we had, or the area manager meeting where I was walking through this, I said some of these bonuses just feel like a free money handout. And very much so, it is very strong in my opinion, this is a free money handout. This is something you absolutely should be doing on a day-to-day basis. And it's just the world's easiest thing to do. I can tell you, if your actual labor is going above your goal labor, you probably are not having an issue. Your issue is probably with when you're telling people to come in, come out, and how you're scheduling your Saturday. Because I went through and painstakingly went through every single store and like really looked at everyone. And over here on the right, these are the actual month-to-date numbers through yesterday. And the ones that didn't hit labor percentages, I mean, they were just like stacked in the wrong places, or the managers were never working Saturdays. And that's exactly what caused the overage in pretty much all of these stores. So work with your area managers or work with myself. These are the Valdosta stores are going to be added to this goal labor percentage later on, because the compensation program doesn't cover 2674 and 6168. It's not, those numbers aren't being calculated to date because they're on a different calculation platform. So any other questions about this? I mean, just check it on a weekly basis, look at it. When your goal is, like I said, just super easy. Be intentional about sending people home when it's not busy, cutting them, adjusting the store hours at the end of the week. Definitely be mindful of overtime, because we should never be paying that out. And then if you're a manager, you need to be working every other Saturday. I'll be really honest with you. If you're not doing that right now, you're just kicking yourself in the shin as it relates to your labor percentage. So once again, just go ahead and do this. Can you give me an example of what the bonus would be to a store above? Is that the end to a store above, or is there more to that comment? The 20%. So the goal labor percentage is not, so Jody, right? Jody was up about 40% in the month of January. So, woo, go Jody. So she would be an example of a person that was above 20%. So basically at the end of the month, I'm going to change the way that I'm calculating her actual labor percentage. That everybody else who's not up 20%, I'm going to calculate it by saying the total labor cost that was incurred in 2552 over the month of January divided by January of the year prior sales. That's where I'm going to get the labor number and the sales number. If you're above 20%, I'm going to change the way I'm calculating that. And I'm going to say, okay, we're still going to use the same labor number, the actual labor that you incurred in the month of January. But instead of dividing by last January sales, which were 40% lower, we're going to divide that by this January sales, which are actually 40% higher. So what that's going to do is it's going to make your labor percentage a lot lower, because we're going to be using a much larger denominator if you like math, bottom number if you didn't like math. Does that make sense to you, Jody? Is that pretty clear? Did that make it more confusing for you? I will come help stores raise them sales. I like the way that you think, Jody. Yeah, I mean, like these numbers are totally doable without having a big blow up in sales. We just want to make sure that we're not penalizing people for growing the store a lot. So that's why it's in. So, but trust me when I say totally achievable without the last year's numbers, no doubt. So $100 right into your pocket. The last one, or not the last one, the third to last one that we've got. So number 4, operational efficiency. There's going to be a lot of font here, but I mean, the short version of it is do your job. This whole slide could be really replaced with that. So there's going to be a $50 bonus paid out on a monthly basis as long as certain things are being done. And all these things are job requirements. Starting with number 1, remember Google checklist that we were talking about earlier today, they're back. This is a job requirement. You are required to have those things filled out for yourself and your associates. We will be checking. It's super easy for us to check because of that check function that I showed you guys. We're going to be checking them every month. If associates plus manager checklist being missed is 3 or greater, you're not getting this operational efficiency bonus. So fill them out and actually do them. Your quarterly visit with Jim Hahn has to be at or above 95%, or you're going to lose this for the entire quarter. Your when I work, aka your schedule, needs to be filled out for a month in advance by the last business day of the prior month. So on January 31st, you should have all of February scheduled, and you should have the budget less than your goal. Your uniform policy. Everybody perk your ears up and listen right now. All of us understand that we have been relaxed about the uniform, too relaxed about the uniform policy in the past. Starting with this new policy, if I walk into a store or your area manager walks into your store, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to check to make sure that everybody is wearing khaki or black pants, that they are wearing a UPS store approved t-shirt or polo or pullover, and that they are wearing their name badges on the left side on the right side of their shirt. Those things, those 1, 2, 3 checks need to be done on every employee. And quite honestly, to be very candid, this is a manager thing the manager should be doing. And if your associate comes into the store, doesn't have the name badge on the top right corner, is not wearing black or khaki pants, and is not wearing an approved shirt, send them home. Do not let them work. They will only be sent home once before they start coming home in the appropriate uniform. We're going to, every time that any of us on the corporate level walk into a store, the first thing we're going to check is uniform policy. If the uniform policy is not being followed by every single employee, this operational efficiency bonus is being lost. So once again, all this stuff is super easy. Just do your job. The quote tool has to be used on all UPS non-air transactions. Khaki/black shorts are okay. Thank you for clarifying. That is khaki or black shorts or pants. They just can't be made out of the jean material. The quote tool has to be used on all UPS non-air transactions. We kind of beat that one over the head in the past about, okay, you don't have to use it for metered mail transactions, obviously, because they won't pop up. If the customer's already said they want to ship the package air, you don't need to use the quote tool. But outside of those 2 extemporaneous reasons, we should be using the quote tool on every transaction. So we're going to have our area managers auditing this. So just do it. Dropbox reporting has to be uploaded timely. As far as Dropbox reporting goes, we're going to allow 1 warning email because we get that every once in a while you just forget to upload a form or something wonky happens where you thought it was uploaded, but it wasn't. So everybody gets 1 before you lose the operational efficiency bonus. Moving forward, we are going to be sending those emails out every single Wednesday for the things that were supposed to be already uploaded by Wednesday. Those emails that were kind reminders in the past are now taking the place of that warning email. So utilize the calendar that I'm sending out today and make sure that you have everything in before we go through and check everything on a weekly basis on Wednesdays. In addition to that warning email, your area manager should be checking through all of these things before we're going through and doing the warning email and hopefully helping you hit everything that you missed. But just upload them when you're supposed to be uploading them to Dropbox, and we won't have any issues. Any questions as it relates to operational efficiency? I know there's a lot of line items and a lot of things that we're looking at there. Really, at the high level, if you just do your job, all of the stuff is stuff you should be doing anyways. And honestly, it's probably things that most stores are already doing. You're just going to get a $50 bonus for us saying thank you for keeping all of this stuff organized on top of. All right. There's not been nearly as many questions about this as I thought. This one's super familiar, right? So we're still keeping on with the sales target bonus. It's just being moved from $200 to $100 to account for all of these other bonuses that we're paying. So each month, the store target's going to be set. It's going to be based on the exact same criteria. We're not changing any of our methodologies related to setting these sales numbers. Just hit sales number, typically around 7% increase, adjusted for various factors, and you're going to get a $100 bonus in your paycheck the next month. Any questions? I'm sure that no questions will be on that. This is where we're at the month. So for the shout outs, congratulations, Kennedy, up 4% over your goal and 11% up over last year. So that's awesome. Way to go. Summit is killing it this month. So way to go, you guys, 5% over goal, 10% over last year. Keep up the good work. Park, doing good per the usual. I'm right above the goal, 2674. So that's Thomasville store. Way to go. Himes, crushing it as always. Way to go. Emmett, very nice, above goal. And Steve/Emily down at the beach store. Congratulations. Solid percentage up. Big print numbers too this year, or this month so far. So congratulations on that. These are little sales kudos. So the last one, this is the one where if you guys were kind of falling asleep on me before, you need to pay attention, because this is the deal breaker and the big change. Because everybody's probably high-fiving so far and saying this sounds awesome, this is big money. And the next section is either going to make or break how successfully you perceive this manager comp plan to be. So pay attention and ask questions. If nobody has questions about this or doesn't put anything in the chat box, I'll know that I've actually just been talking to myself the whole time because there should be questions about this next section. So we were doing this process of what we were doing last year was there's a print minimum and there's a print target. If you hit the print target, then you get a $500 bonus. If you don't hit the print minimum, then you're losing a quarterly bonus. That didn't resonate with people because it wasn't, I think it personally, because it wasn't being paid out as quickly as it needed to be paid out. So what we did is we took that exact same plan and we just, we shook it a couple times and the numbers fall out pretty much exactly the same. But it's just shaken up to be a little bit easier. So every month, we're going to be setting a print target for your store. If you care to know how I'm calculating that number, there is a long explanation right there of exactly how I'm calculating that number. But if you don't care how I'm calculating that number, just trust me when I say that it is a very reasonable number and it's very fair. And I spent months trying to figure out the best way to calculate it, and that's not the best way to calculate it. But I would encourage you to just trust me on the idea that this number is automated and it's fair. We are giving you a number of sales that we really expect your store to be able to do in print sales. So that number is going to be called your print target. That is an expectation of your employment as the manager that you're able to do that amount in sales. Any more that you're able to do, we're saying congratulations, that's awesome. As you are doing your job above and beyond, we want to be paying you for you doing an above and beyond job. When you are not living up to the expectations of that print target or the number that we think is the job requirement level of you being able to sell print, if you're not hitting that number, then we're saying, hey, you know, you're really not doing your job to the extent that you should be doing your job, and you're going to take a financial penalty based on that, on the number, based on the amount that you have fallen short. So when you're looking at the print target, a nice, smooth, even number is these are the numbers that February would have been had we been on this platform in February. So if you're wondering what these numbers are over here, they're the sales numbers through yesterday. For if we had set print targets, these would have been the numbers. So if Bloomingdale's an easy number because it's exactly $3,200 over there. If the Bloomingdale store ends the month of February doing $3,300, so $100 more than the print target, Allison would receive a bonus of 10% of that difference. So she did $100 more than the print target, so she's going to get a $10 bonus. She can get as much as she wants by doing more print, up to $200. So if she does $5,200 in print sales, she's going to receive a $200 bonus. If she does $8,000 in print sales and her target was $3,200, so she increased it by $4,800, if my math is correct, then she's going to receive a bonus of, anybody want to throw it in the chat? Make sure that you guys are paying attention. And $200 is the number I'm sure you guys would have thrown into the chat. Because it's capped at $200. Yes, thank you, Jody. If instead Allison just says, you know what, I'm not doing this. I'm not doing print. I don't care. And Jody does. I like your methodology, Dusty, but unfortunately the number is $200. So if instead Allison said, I don't care anything about doing print, I'm going to do $1,000 in print sales because that's how many people came in and did copies. So her print numbers are down $2,200. She's going to lose $200 of the bonuses that she would have otherwise received in the other category. So let's say that she hit her sales goal, which was $100. She hit her labor percentage, which was $100, and she didn't hit any of the other stuff. So she would have gotten a $200 bonus, but because of this print number and not embracing print, not doing print, that $200 bonus that she would have got is wiped out. So any questions about how this works? I'm really anticipating questions because I do think that this can be confusing if not explained very clearly. So any questions at all? While I'm waiting for questions to populate, I will say we've got 2 managers to date that were both on this platform for the month of January. So we really wanted to give this thing a live run before actually rolling it out. And what I can say from the practical execution is one of the stores hit a total freaking home run on this thing and got paid out a $500 bonus. It was awesome. That dude had a really good day when he got his paycheck that week. We also had a store who basically did not get any of it. And, I'll be honest with you. I mean, that's a huge pay difference between the two. One dude went home with an extra $500 a month. So you're talking $6,000 a year, and didn't even hit every single one of these bonuses. And the other one got 0. So you're talking about a total compensation shift of $7,200. The total amount that you can earn extra is $8,400 over the course of the year. So, I mean, this is a big opportunity to gain some bonus money. So totally just get on board with this idea. Thank you, Jody. You asked the question. I was hoping somebody would ask the question. Let's see. Are you going to take into account other factors into the calculation? For example, last February, I had a customer spend a one-time amount that will not be possible again this year. That is a great question because I do account for those things. If you look at the way that I'm calculating this bonus, so great, because that's a major question I had for myself, right? What Michael's status, while I think I appreciate that, is probably not correct. The correct answer is we are already accounting for it based on the way that we're calculating. So the way that we're calculating the print bonus, if you care, if you don't care, I highly encourage you put your hands over your ear right now. Yeah, I like Dusty's mentality and rigor. I don't necessarily disagree, but so the way that we're calculating is that we're using 3 totally different numbers. The first number is going to be a percentage of your print sales as a percentage of adjusted gross sales. So if you're a $600,000 a year store, it should be fundamentally easier for you to sell print than it is for a $300,000 a year store, right? You got a lot more people coming in, a lot more opportunity to sell print. Of course, you should be able to sell more. So the first tier that we're using is a percentage based on adjusted gross sales. That is the same number as PACE. So that number is 12%. So we take your adjusted gross sales from last year, 12% of that, and then divide it by 12, and that's going to be the first number we're using. Yeah, probably, Jody. The second number that we're using is going to be a flat fixed increase over the prior year. So once again, you had this big job last year. We're just asking for a flat increase on the prior number, and that's just going to be 1/3 of the calculation. So let's say you did have a big number last year. It's going to be totally weighed down by the other two numbers that we're using, because 2/3 is going to be this much smaller number. In reverse, if let's say last year you didn't do print at all, like Kennedy is a great example. Like a year ago, they didn't do any print. So the number last year is going to be $0. But you can see their print target number isn't totally accounted for, because I mean, like if Kennedy has $1,000 or a $2,000 month in print, I'll drive over there myself and kick Randy and Dane across in the shin, because that store has an expectation of doing way more print. Those print numbers can't be right for Kennedy. That number's way too low. Side note. But that store is not a $2,000 a year store. And if I set it based on last year, it wouldn't make any sense, because it's not a kind of store that's going to do $2,000 a month in print. It's a store that's going to do $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 a month every month in print. And then lastly, we're going to take the prior 3 months sales and we're going to increase it by 10%. So we're going to take last month, the month before, and the third month, increase that average by 10%, and that's going to be the third pillar. So by using all three of these different numbers, we're going to create a number that's reasonable and fair. And if you really are confused by that methodology, because I think that most of you guys probably are, I'll encourage you guys to say, just throw that out to the sideline. The general average is that we're going to set this target at around like 10 to 12% increase over the last year, and everything else is being added is bread and butter. Print is the world's easiest thing to hand. It's just so controllable on the store level. It's ridiculous. And what we can really comfortably say is every store that me or Michael have went and really got our roots into, the storage print has just went gangbusters. So we're really confident. But I do think I'm about to segue. If anybody has any more questions, I do kick hard. I won't actually kick anybody in the shins. So please don't put me on the news later today. Promise. I'll have an encouraging word of conversation with you. But if you have any questions about this, let me know, because we're about to segue. Boop, 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 boop. I'll circle back after the meeting with any questions that people have. So the one thing that I'm really intentional about is I think that there are a lot of stores that are really going to have to get to work. As you're looking over in the column, there's a percentage number for where we're at, and the goal number should be somewhere in the mid-40s on where a store should be at this moment. So you can see a lot of the stores are well below this number. And you're just looking off the list. 2620 is going to have to put some work in place. Brandon Boulevard is going to have to put some work in place. To get USF is definitely going to have to put some work. Elena, you're well on your way. We're going to circle back for any other questions that you guys have. I don't agree with the assessment that print's not easy, but we're certainly, let's circle. I'm going to finish the meeting. I want to circle back to any issues that need to be addressed. So the real question that everybody should be having is, like, what can we do to grow print? Now, I mean, I feel very confident when I've thrown everything I felt like I could at you guys to help grow print. But the question that we ask ourselves at the corporate level, and even some of the stores that we're doing well in print, is we said, okay, everybody get together and give me your absolute best tip on if I need to grow print quickly. Because I mean, the way that you grow print, you have to put some roots down, and you have to really, it takes some time, and it takes building a relationship and talking with every single customer. But we said, okay, everybody give us your tip of, okay, if I need to grow print really, really fast, what's your tip? So we took everybody's tips, and for the next 4 weeks in these go-to meetings, we're going to be going through these tips of how do you grow print really, really fast. And what I can tell every single one of you guys is if you don't even know what a business card is at this point, you can follow these steps that we're giving you guys over the next 4 weeks, and you will do above your target. Absolutely 100% without any question, follow these steps and you will hit past your print target, guaranteed. So I gave y'all a little meme there, a bit of encouragement. So without further ado, we're about to lead into the first tip. The first things that I think you guys really need to do. And we're going to give y'all all the tools to do them, and you can start it literally within an hour after starting. Well, actually, Fred, I got a meeting at 1, so I'm going to have to send out all the stuff later tonight. But you can start this starting tomorrow. So this is just like a gangbuster way. If you want to grow your print customers are already in your store. They're sitting right in your mailboxes. So we're really going to go gangbusters and trying to get those guys to doing print with us. So what we've done is we've created a nice little letter for you guys that's already pre-typed out. It's going to include a $20 gift certificate for you to give to each of your box holders. So it basically tells them, hey, we really appreciate what you do. We have really awesome print services that you probably don't know about, and you get 15% off of all of them. So that's pretty awesome. To help you kind of get your feet wet, we're going to give we're giving $20 to every single one of our mailbox customers in the month of February to use on any print. They don't have to do a minimum. It also does not have a cash value. But most importantly, this expires on February 28th. So we need to get started on putting these in the boxes right now, because if they go to use this on March 1st, it's not going to be valid and they cannot redeem it. What's the cool thing about that for you guys is you're not being incentivized on print sales until March 1st. So none of these sales are at all going to affect you. The fact that you're getting $20 away does not affect your compensation. We're getting them in the door and understanding that you do print services and giving them a chance. And our corporate office is subsidizing you, giving them a chance by giving away $20 to each of those customers to use before February 28th. This will start print conversations for you automatically. All you have to do is print this bad boy out and follow my simple steps over there on the left of this slide. Print it on 80 or 100-pound cross cover. It's not even full bleed, so you don't have to worry about that. Sign under sincerely right there as the manager. So this is Dusty doing this. Sign sincerely, Dusty Robinson. Robert, sorry. Put mailbox holder's name on the certificate right here and sign that you approved it right there. Then slide this into every single one of the mailboxes, and conversations are immediately going to get started. This is just a great way to get conversations started, but trust me when I say these are a one-time use. You guys can really decide how you want to do that on the store level. I don't really care either way. This is a tool for you guys to use to get customers or to get people familiar with your services. If they want to break it up across a couple transactions, that's okay. But I'd say, hey, let's go ahead and bundle up everything you want to get done. Let's just go ahead and knock it all out. We're only talking about 15 days here. So go ahead and encourage them to go ahead and line up some stuff. And most importantly, use this moment as a conversation to sit down with your mailbox customer. Say, what is your business? What are you in the business of? And let us give some recommendations to them. I know I was sitting at a meeting this morning, and me and Michael were talking to a guy who sells houses, and we were saying, you must do direct mail service, right? And we were talking to him about the kind of direct mail services that we do and how we do them, and most importantly, how we do them in a repeated way, so that when you do them every month or 2 months, you're getting value for that. That's the kind of thing that you're going to need to do. So by sitting down with your customers and getting to know their business, you know what it is that you can do to help them sell more print. So these files are going to be going out later today, but without further ado, I mean, as a highlight of things that we've got going on, we're going to have a really cool thing on direct mail next week. It's going to be like the ultimate tee up on how to get big print sales using EDDMR as a tool set. So you'll definitely want to hit the meeting next week. But quite honestly, I mean, like, the tools are out there. If your associates have not been through the print training yet, we have in-house written a 700-page print training guide. There is print trainings on the web-based training. Todd Cohen has some really great print some sales stuff on the hub. There's a selling print made easy as a video guide that's on the hub. It's a really great video guide. We have the print hub that even if you don't know how to do print, will do the print for you. You can utilize Forover to do these tools. The amount of excuses that I can really viably hear about print is getting really low, because there's just a million tools out there. And most importantly, as I always tell you guys, if you need to grow print, reach out to me or your area managers or Michael about, hey, where do we get started? The first thing I'm going to tell you is, have you read the print? Have you read and done the print training guide? Because there's no way to print that far into you if you went through the print training guide. Are you actually doing research on your own about printing? Have you really researched our online website using that as a platform? I'm going to ask you if you put in the effort, because I know speaking for myself, I'm going to ask you to put in the effort before I go to your store and camp out there for a month. I don't think that any store needs somebody else to walk in and for a month to encourage people. I think that self-initiative has to be started, and you have to want to ask the question. And from there, you definitely need a coach like a Jody or a Michael or a me or a Dane. And every single one of us is more than happy to help any of you guys with any questions that you have. So I'll get off my soapbox as it relates to print now. And most importantly, I mean, you got 15 days to really start getting your head around this. We're going to give you guys tons of tools over the next month. But I highly encourage you guys, don't just sit back and lean on the tools that we're providing. Use our tools too, but come up with your own ideas on how to grow print. So any questions you guys have, feel free to throw them in the chat. I'm going to keep the chat open for about another 10 or 15 minutes till I got to go to another meeting. But thank you guys so much for listening in. I hope you guys are really excited about this new manager manager compensation platform. It definitely gives the opportunity for you guys to get more money in your pocket as long as you're executing on the platform that we put in front of you guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you have any questions about the comp plan, all the area managers have been briefed on the plan, so they should be painstakingly aware of how it works. And I certainly am familiar with how it works, so email me with any questions you have on it. Thank you so much for coming. Have a great rest of the day.